trading. Happy Saturday morning. Hope you got your coffee, donuts, whatever you have on a Saturday morning. I'll get things cranking here. So, put a couple slides together last night. Being technical, trying to translate it into layman's that everyone can understand. I figure I put it in a PowerPoint, and you get questions, you can email me any specifics on that. And if you want to come on live, you can just raise your hand, and I'll pull you on the air here. So with that, we'll go through our standard slide deck, I think, here. Standard disclaimers, and it's for educational purposes only, but we're talking about technology this morning and how strong your coffee is, and about trading. And we're going to re-record this session for you guys so you can review it at your leisure, and a little different twist on it, but that should be for Saturday. So, and our standard goals. And for more strategies, if we have trading questions, refer to our books. And we welcome some of our new students joining us this morning. And if you feel lost, definitely can feel lost because we're talking about technology and ergonomics, but I'm going to kind of interweave that with how we trade, so be a little different twist. So with that, you got a scenario where you got the sad trader or happy trader, and hopefully you're never going to be in the sad trader spot. Imagine if you had a laptop that wasn't charged up, or you didn't have a Wi-Fi to get on the internet, and you didn't have a hotspot to get on, no public Wi-Fi spots, you had no signal on your phone, and the markets are moving. Definitely not good news for your trader. I remember back in May of 2010, I was on an airplane, and everything was fine when I got, at 8:30 in the morning before the markets opened. And when the markets opened, we had that little flash crash incident happened. I landed at 12:30 and looked at the news, and there was CNN and that talking about the stock market crash and how quickly it recovered, and I was like, okay, I was on a plane. That didn't really help out, but hopefully we don't want to put you in that scenario. So I just put some technology things together, and like I said, if you got any questions, just raise your hand or type it in, and happy to talk it over with you. So the first thing we'll kind of talk about is computers, and whether it be a desktop or laptop. The i7 processor is probably the best, a little bit more expensive than what they call an i5 processor. i5 processors is probably a minimum requirement. A lot of the cheaper computers that you'll see in your retail stores will be the i5s or sometimes the i3s, because the i3s are even cheaper. So that's where you see that $199 or $299 special at Office Depot or somewhere. Any retail store, you can probably find your Windows 10, and if you want Windows 7, Windows 7 is still pretty much a corporate standard. You can go online and get Windows 7. Windows 10's got a little bit different animal. It's much better. If you're on 8, I recommend moving to 10 because Windows 8 was such a disaster. No one liked it. I didn't recommend it to clients, and Windows 10 is definitely better. Or going back to Windows 7. Thinkorswim has a little bit of quirks with the Windows 10 with the memory allocation, but other than that, it's pretty good. So I'm still on Windows 7 Professional. But you can either buy a new computer, or if you're more inclined, you want to build your own. Lenovo, which is the old IBM ThinkPads, they're a little bit more expensive, but they're more rugged. And as traders, you need something that's going to be reliable and that you can count on, and that you don't get a blue screen, or other computer lockups or stuff like that. Falcon Northwest is a custom build shop. Mainly in the gaming community, and then of course you got Apple, Asus. As far as if you want to buy something out of the box, the probably the least reliable or the most complaints I hear is probably from the Toshiba's, whether it be a CD or motherboard issue or just weird type of stuff. But as far as my experience, the Lenovo's are pretty much a corporate standard in most corporations, because you get, salespeople or whatever, traveling all the time. The Lenovo T series is the business line, and they got the 15 or 17 inch 14 or 15 inch screens. The X series, the X1 is the lightweight. It's like a 2-pound laptop, which I use when I go to travel. The Lenovo T series, going back here a second, is made with a magnesium case. So what that means to you as a user is, most other manufacturers use a polycarbonate or plastic case, hard plastic, for the case of the laptop. The Lenovo T series uses magnesium, which is a metal, but it's a very lightweight metal, but you pay a little bit more for them. The other thing I like about the Lenovo's is I've actually had this happen, is they have a feature where if you accidentally spill Coke or soda or some tea on the keyboard, it's got some weep holes that kind of direct the liquids away from the keyboard and away from the laptop and protecting it. You do that with any other manufacturer, you're pretty much you just fry the laptop, which is not good. I remember when I just bought a Lenovo T series or something, it was like I had it for 2 weeks and was over at my mother-in-law's and accidentally spilled some tea on the keyboard, and it was fine. And it was like, okay, I didn't want to test it literally that way, but it works out. If you're more technically savvy, you can build your new laptop, or maybe a new desktop, and Newegg.com, Fry's, Spy.com, a lot of different component manufacturers out there. But if you want to get more detail on that, you can email me, and I can give you some technical configurations if you're more inclined to custom build one from the ground up, whether it be for sound or speed or that type of thing. So, but just give you a high-level overview as far as what to look for in a computer. If you can get the i7, it's going to be more expensive. It's a little bit faster, but the i5 is probably the best way to go with that. Memory. Low latency. If you can get low latency memory, or if you see the words low latency and then the specification, it's a little bit faster memory than the standard memory. And XMP memory, typically used for overclocking and that, but a little bit more reliable using servers. And as far as total memory for your computer, 8's probably minimum. 16 is what I got, and then going to 32 if you're using a lot of charts and stuff. Thinkorswim with the new 64-bit platform can scale up and eat up a lot of space, but I've not seen anything go over 8 gigs for Thinkorswim itself. But it's as far as having more memory, because most of the time you're going to have your Thinkorswim open, you may have a browser open, you may have your email open, other applications that consume memory. So memory is very cheap. So if you can upgrade or add some more memory to it, that's always a good thing. Hard drives. So when you get a laptop or a desktop, there's different types of hard drives, and they have a speed rating on them. So sort of like your tires on your car, hard drives have certain speeds. 5,400 RPMs is typically found in the cheaper configurations. 7,200 RPMs is better. Western Digital is a good company, and it's the Black Series. It's a little bit more robust, and robustness is all what I'm thinking. For us as traders, you want something that's going to be I'll say military grade, but you want something that's going to handle the pressure. And some new technology called solid state drives, or SSDs, is a short acronym, is even it's like putting jet fuel in your car. It's you can do this with an existing desktop or laptop. If you got one of these older mechanical hard drives, you can put a solid state in there, and you can get some, it'd be 30 to 40% faster, just replacing it with a solid state drive. It's a pretty big step up. And most of the time they're using what they call a SATA interface, and this 550 megabits per second is close to the limit of this interface, but it's substantially faster than these guys. Samsung's got the 840, 850 series that are pretty good, so you can use that as a boot drive. And even some of the newer desktops or laptops have this what they call an M2 interface, which gets you up to 2200 up to 2500 megabits per second. This is true in the Lenovo X1 series that we're just talking about, that I got about a year ago. It has a 512 gigabyte M2 interface solid state drive. I think I've timed it to almost like 8 seconds from hitting the power button to get on the internet in 8 seconds. So that's you pay a little bit more for it, but you get some speed, and it's 4 times faster than the SATA interface. It's pretty impressive. So, any questions so far? I had 2 cups of tea this morning, so the caffeine's kicking in. Okay. Next, we'll talk about wireless. So in your house, you probably got a cable modem or DSL router, or got your own router that gets the internet to your desktop or your laptop. And there's primarily 4. There's some wireless A as well, but these are the 4 most common wireless protocols that you'll see. So when you go into your Best Buys or your local store and you're trying to buy a router, you'll see these acronyms: AC interface or N interface, G or B. AC is probably the fastest. If you're streaming movies or Hulu or Netflix to your TV or something, a wireless AC router is probably the best. If you're streaming and you got an N router, you can get some flickering and stuff, and you can get some bottlenecks with the N wireless, and still pretty stable. You can look for either a dual or tri-band antenna configuration. That just means there's more antennas to broadcast. The same thing with the AC. The more antennas, dual, tri-band, or even quad band, that just broadcast the signal more, in your house or in your office. The wireless G has been out for a while, and it's being replaced by the wireless N or even the AC protocols. The wireless B has been out for the longest, but it's probably the slowest and definitely outdated. The best brands I've seen is some of the Netgear, Linksys brands. Ubiquitous networks. These are good for access points. A little bit more commercial grade. Typically don't see it in a normal house, but you can get one of their nice access points for like $150. Even like Amazon's got them, and they do a really good job of giving the full bandwidth with its AC, streaming it as an access point throughout your house or throughout your office. So any of those are pretty good, because you want to get the most speed as you can to get of course, if you might think or swim to go as fast as it can. So not only having the fastest DSL or cable package, definitely helps with the scenario. So. And along those lines, if you may be hardwired to your modem or router, you can also do wireline adapters. So if you have no internet, let's say you're upstairs office or something, or above your garage, and trying to figure out a way of getting the internet from there, and the wireless is just not strong enough, then you get what they call a wireline adapter, and that wireline adapter basically is a plug-in to your AC wall outlet, and you'll have a transmitter and you'll have a receiver, and those are about $200, and they're not too bad. The other thing is when we talk about wireless, is you may want to have a dual or fail rollover capability, and this is where the 4G or 3G comes into play. If your cable internet goes out, do you have a backup? Whether it be DSL, maybe you got a hotspot on your phone. You always want to have a plan A and a plan B with your phone, or with your internet, so you always have internet access. I've had times where someone cut the line and their DSL had no DSL access in the morning, so I had to hop on and get onto my 4G connection to get access to Thinkorswim. So some firewalls have a built-in capability where you can plug in a USB card. So I could pop out my SIM card for my laptop, plug it in this USB adapter, and then that plugs in my router for the whole house. So that's another little backup type of thing. So. And Sonic Walls is a type of firewall. It's just a brand that Dell bought them out, and it works pretty well. It works as a hardware firewall, keeping out the bad guys and the hackers, to kind of mitigate some of that risk. And it includes most of their devices include 2 free VPN licenses, which stands for Virtual Private Network. And if you have the choice, I'd pick a hardware firewall versus a software firewall. Windows has got a built-in firewall, but it's not as robust as some of the other hardware ones. And the hardware firewalls don't, slow down your CPU as much. Software firewalls require CPU time, and if you're trying to maximize your connection to Thinkorswim or your brokerage platform, every little tweak that you can do is better. So that's kind of a nutshell as far as wireless type of technology. Is everyone good with that? Any questions? Okay. Next is security. So, antivirus, obviously, Norton, McAfee, Norton, I find, does a better job of, in my experience, I know some people are big McAfee fans, but Norton, I've seen things get past McAfee that Norton will catch. But also when you configure it, when you set up the default options, there's a configuration or settings in there for exclusions, and have it exclude your brokerage platform. So go to your, I think it's program files and Thinkorswim directory, and have it exclude that, so it's not scanning that and slowing down that application. Lookout, this is an application that you can get on your phone. I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago there was a thing on 60 Minutes about security of phones and that type of thing, and how easy it was to, I say hack, but to listen in on phone conversations, that type of thing. But Lookout there's a free app, and then they also have a paid app to help secure your phone. So help protect with identity, that type of thing. So that's kind of where this whole security thing's coming into play. Is what's your security plan? How do you protect your credentials and stuff, especially bank, social security number, that type of thing. VPN access is another good thing to have. Many times it's built into some of the firewalls. So if you're out traveling or something and you got a desktop that's got your stuff on it, or if you want to access your desktop, you can use the laptop to connect to your firewall, and then you gain control of your desktop remotely through a secure VPN access, and AES 256 encryption is the strongest. There's other types of security, but that's a pretty common one. And then, if at all possible, try to avoid the public Wi-Fi unless you need it. Use a secure and private IP access. That's probably the best route to go, or use your hotspot on your phone. I know some people like to use public Wi-Fi, but you need to make sure you have protection, so you don't have people snooping in or sniffing on your Wi-Fi signals within that building. And then also check your browser settings. In Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, just to make sure you set a setting, do not track. Other options, that there's some options in there that will collect your information and send it to Firefox or Microsoft. Turn some of those things off. they're on by default to automatically send that information, but I don't want to share unless I want to share something with a vendor, but that's also how you get marketing ads and stuff. And also in your Google, if you have a Gmail account, if you sign in your Gmail account, there's a settings or privacy settings feature in there that controls on as far as when you use google.com, your search results, all that kind of stuff. You can selectively turn off some of those things. So it's kind of an eye-opener because most people don't know about that. Because when you search for something, it's like, oh, how do they know I'm going to the baseball game at 8 o'clock? Well, you had it in earlier email, and Google put 2 and 2 together. So, but that's, from a security standpoint, having a good antivirus, whether it be your phone or laptop or desktop. And some of the newer Nortons include 5 licenses for $50. And with those 5 licenses, you can put one on your desktop, your laptop, your tablet, that type of thing. So. Next is power, and this comes into play because last February, not this past February, a year ago February, we had a bad ice storm and we didn't have power for 3 days. And it wasn't the weekend, it was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So with no power for 3 days, you're trying to do trading, it's a little bit tough. You can do batteries and stuff like that, but having a generator is good, but in general, you want to have some kind of surge protection. These little $9.99 outlet strips that you can get at your local Walmart, and that typically won't cut it. You need to get one that's got a more of a battery backup in it. That also includes the surge protection. And I would plug all the equipment in there, whether it be your phone, your router, and all that. Because if the power goes out, you want to make sure your router, your DSL, and all that stays up as long as possible. You don't want to plug in a laser printer to these UPSs. The UPSs, protect your power, but also give you some battery backup time. And depending on how much money you want to spend, obviously the more money you spend, the longer the runtime you can get. But if you're trading a lot and you're going to be without power, you can get up to 2, 3, 4 hours on some of these battery backups, which is kind of nice. And plus it helps clean the power and make sure that it protects all the equipment behind it. So if you spent $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on a desktop, the last thing you want is a lightning surge or a power surge to come in and zap it. So having one of these power backup things is really nice. And helps protect the other equipment and whatever's connected to it. So, and then also getting some kind of DC to AC adapter. You can get these for $30, $40. So if you're traveling and your spouse is driving and you're going to be on your laptop for a while and you need some power, if you got some kind of adapter that can plug into the cigarette lighter or use one of these adapters so you can keep your laptop powered or any of your devices powered while you're on your trip is a nice little thing to have in your back pocket. So besides having a good backup plan, having a good power plan, I didn't have a slide in here about backups, but having a backup solution, whether it be once a week or something, is important because if something happens, whether it be the laptop or desktop, having a good backup, even these flash drives, you want to have as much uptime as you can, but you also want to have a good plan B. So if something does go wrong, you can quickly recover from it without having a whole lot of downtime. Because as we all know, the last thing we want is the computer to go, go crazy when it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and the markets are starting to move and your computer crashes or the power goes out. You want to make sure you got a plan to take care of the power. So keyboards. So most of us traders are most likely sitting in front of a screen, and or if it's a desktop, the Microsoft 4000 ergonomic keyboards or some of the Logitech keyboards are reliable, but they're also very ergonomic. I've had some clients that had the wrist braces, because sometimes you get the carpal tunnel syndrome, where repetitive action of your wrists, and you need to get surgery. I don't want that to happen to you guys. So I've had one client that started using this keyboard and was able to take off the braces after about 3 weeks. They didn't need the braces anymore because their hands weren't hurting. And the same thing goes with mice. The 999 mice typically won't cut it. You want to get an ergonomic mouse to help protect your wrist and everything, because most of us are clicking on something when we're putting in trades, and clicking up and down, or moving charts, dragging, dropping, that type of thing. So, and then there's do you want the red or do you want the blue? I guess that's almost going back to was it the Matrix, that movie? It said this flashback here. Do you want to take the red? Is it the red pill or the blue pill? And trying to think if you took the red or the blue. But anyway, for mice, when you flip it over, you're either going to have a red light or a blue light. If you don't see any light, you may have what they call dark net technology. It's not dark light, but I'll change that. But the blue light is a technology that works well on reflective surfaces, and dark light or dark net is kind of a similar thing, and you can actually use these type of mice on your jeans or even your chest, and they still work. You can't do that with some of the cheaper red light laser based mice, and they're more accurate. Because most office furniture you got, Formica or even if it's real wood, there's a little bit of a shine to it, and you may notice that your mouse jumps around a little too much. 9 times out of 10, you get a blue light or a dark net technology mouse. I think you'll be fine. The problem will disappear. So, just investing in, I think the Microsoft keyboard's like $40 and another $40 for a mouse. I mean, these are kind of your bread and butter when you're using the computer. So it's a really good investment. Monitors, LCD, LED, OLED. LED monitors are definitely easier on the eyes. If your monitor is probably more than 4 or 5 years old, it's probably LCD based. The LED based monitors are a lot easier on your eyes. The eye fatigue definitely is easier. Planar, Samsung, HP, Asus have some of the most reliable monitors, but also some really nice ones. Sometimes when you look at the specs, you'll see what they call an IPS panel. Sometimes they use a TN panel, but an IPS panel is a lot more vivid, a little bit more contrast for you, so it's easier on the eyes. And I'd recommend 27-inch. That's pretty much a standard. Some people still back on the this 17-inch size, and if you're looking at charts and stuff, sometimes when we get older, we need larger is always bigger. Maybe you can get 2 more monitors. You can I've seen some that's 4 or even 6 monitors, and using a DVI interface versus VGA. VGA is that little blue connector, typically on the back of your computer or back of your monitor. The white one is typically the DVI, and then of course HDMI is what you'll see on your TV, or even the mini HDMI. These are digital signals versus analog, and you get a little bit sharper picture using the digital output. And also remember when you're using any type of monitor, to go in and set the display properties to use what they call TrueType font, or the TrueType feature, which helps smooth the fonts out so they're easier to read. Sometimes you get a little jagginess on some of the characters. Most likely you have not set the TrueType option, because that's not turned on by default. You have to go in and right-click on your desktop, and if you go to, I think it's right-click properties, and then at the lower left-hand corner, I believe, you'll see an option for display, and you'll see an option in there to adjust the clear type text. So Um, and then I think, like I mentioned this last time, we had a coffee session, is that there's a blue light. So when you're using a monitor and you're looking at it, and whether it be at night or early morning, you got red and yellow and blue LEDs in there. The blue light really stimulates the brain to keep you awake. And if you're having trouble sleeping, or your spouse says, "Hey, come to bed," but you seem to be wired, adjust the blue light of the monitor. This Flux applications, there's a free little application. It automatically controls the blue light exposure. So after the sun goes down, it starts to turn down the amount of blue light that your monitor's outputting, and you get a little bit warmer tones on your screen, which helps you helps you sleep as you progress, versus being wired and you're up all night. And the monitor also should be parallel with your line of sight. So as you sit and you look straight in front, you should not be looking up or looking down, because that's going to put some stress on your neck. So from an ergonomic standpoint, I think I got a monitor. Yeah, there we go. So I put a little image here as far as viewing distance, but you don't want to be looking up. You're looking at it should be straight on. And then as far as adjusting your keyboard and having foot rests, we'll talk about chairs here in a little bit, and lamps. If you're using fluorescent lamps, that could sometimes trigger migraines or headaches. So if you're having headaches when you're looking at the computer a lot, but you got a fluorescent display, change to a halogen light, or get away from the fluorescent lights as far as shadowing your computer desk. And then making sure your legs are kind of an L shape, and leaning forward just a little bit is good for as far as the placement of the monitor. Chairs, obviously that's good, because if you didn't have a chair, you'd be standing up. We also be stretching and standing up every couple hours, but if you're going to spend a lot of hours in front of the computer, having a good ergonomic chair really will pay dividends, and your back will thank you. Leap is a type of chair, I think it's made by Steelcase. It is a good ergonomic chair. They could be a little pricey, but if you want to get one cheaper, a reclaimed office furniture store, you get a good used one for, I think, a fraction of the price. I think I picked one up for $300, and it's a $1,200 chair, but I got it for just a fraction of the price. But spend a Saturday afternoon, get a good ergonomic chair, and definitely makes a difference. Especially if you're going to spend a long periods of time in front of the computer screen. And also get a good anti-static mat to help prevent the static from interfering with your desktop or laptop. Those little zaps sometimes, sometimes it could freeze up a laptop, it could freeze up a desktop. So a good anti-static mat kind of litigates that, and prevents anything from damaging, or minimize, I should say, minimize any kind of damage to your devices. So. And then as far as in your office, or as far as the air, just having a good air cleaner help clean the air in your office. If you don't want to do an air cleaner, ferns work well. I think I got a small fern. I think I got a bonsai tree, yep. And you can also use salt lamps, help clean the air. They generate negative ions, and help keep you in a really, I don't say good mood, but we want as many cards kind of stacked in our favor as we can. But salt lamps, you get these at I think Home Depot or something. You have to go online, I think, to get them, but they got different shapes and sizes. But they're very popular back in the 60s. And that's, I think, also lava lamps were kind of popular back then too. But just keeping the air clean, and that just to keep your mind running at 100%. Just little things to kind of help things out. Works out. And then lastly, just good trader plans for all scenarios, and a lot of work and preparation as far as how we use technology. You're kind of tweaking as far as the tools that you need. It does seem like every year gets faster and faster, but with the help of technology, all of us got busy schedules and trying to stay on top of everything. Got kids to take to games and different functions with their spouse. We need all the technology we can to maximize the time that we can spend trading or doing what we want. And if this is your office, I applaud you. This looks very comfortable. But we always want to kind of plan ahead, and that's what a lot of the football players do. They practice a lot of hours during the week, and then we watch them play for 2-3 hours on Saturday. We don't see all the effort behind the scenes, but the name of the game is kind of plan ahead. And technology is just one component to staying ahead of the game or being a happy trader. So that's pretty much, I think that's it. Yeah. If you have a question I can bring on there, or covered a lot of material, I figured to put something together for you. But if you want to, I can put it on the air and you can ask your question. Just type in the question box there and ask your question, or I can pull you online. Hopefully it was helpful, because sometimes a lot of this is techno mumbo jumbo. My wife would kind of just laugh at me if I start talking about this, because she'd think I'm talking Greek. But okay. Okay, thanks, Kay. Okay. Tony, you're good? Yeah, and if you're gonna, if you're doing your own technical configurations, like I said, you can shoot me an email, and I can, we get more technical as far as manufacturers and types of components, that type of thing. So, okay. If there's no other questions, then we'll kind of cut it off, and like I said, you guys will get a recording link to this when we get done. And if there's anything we do to help you out, just let me know. Otherwise, we'll be back. Or if you got a trading question, this is Saturday, so any topics, fair game. Because otherwise, we'll be back in the chat room on Monday. Hopefully, you guys can pop it in, and I put a lot of thoughts and process, or some of my thoughts and stuff of what I'm looking at as the market's progressing. So if you want to chop in, you can hop into the chat room. And if you have trouble, like I say, logging in, call the office. They'll help you get you logged in and stuff. So okay, all right. Well, thanks, guys, and hope you guys have a good rest of Saturday. I'm gonna be bringing out the cars. We got a car show next weekend, so I gotta wash about 4 cars and then detail them, and that's going to be probably the rest of my day, and then I'll be ready for La La Land after that. So, and then probably tomorrow will be the wax day. So, but I hope you guys have a good weekend, and we'll get with you next Monday in the chat room. If not, we'll see you next Wednesday in the pot class. All right? Thanks, guys.